Let's continue building the missing operators project. We just saw a solution to the problem of determining the correct answer, but that was rather verbose and rather, let's say a lot of code and also not so flexible. We will see a much better solution here using lists. Now, lists, as you may recall, are basically like big brothers of variables where we have many variables connected to each other. What we will do is to create a list of all the operators that we are using in this project. So I'm just going to call it, for example, op_list, and I'm going to just say this list contains, for example, say plus. Now each of these is a string for me, and it contains, for example, minus, and my game it contains, say multiply. Now of course you can create as many operators as you want to by adding more elements, but then you have to change code also later on. Now, before I move on, let me just do a bit of compare and contrast lists in Scratch versus lists in Python. In fact, the concept is exactly the same, just that it's so much more compact in Python to define a list as we have done here. So, in Scratch, we used to create a list, we used to delete all of it, add elements that we wanted to it, and then we could see the list. All of this is basically taken care of by the code that I just wrote. So with this, I have a list called op list. I can now index into this list, and how I do that, it's kind of, we can see it working. So let's say I run this code, I just go, okay, so doesn't matter, I just run this code again. Let's say I say 12, 32, and I just say plus, for example. Doesn't matter, I'm not so interested in that. But if I look at op list, notice it's a list and I can index into this list. So op list, for example, 0 is a plus, op list 1 is a minus, op list 2 is a multiply. And with this fact, in fact, I have a great opportunity to simplify my code. All I'm going to say is that if my answer is equal to, so let me just remove this entire line because otherwise it's confusing. So I'm just going to say if answer is equal to, notice here it has to be 2 equals to, because again I'm checking for equality, but I can just write answer is equal to op list op, and I do need that colon over there. And look at this solution, so much more cleaner, so much more flexible, because all I need to do is to modify my op list. Now if I test my code, in fact it's in a good shape. So I just go and say tell me a number. Say I say, for example, 12, say 54. It tells me 12-54 is minus 42. This is a minus. I go and check at this and it tells me well done. The question is, how is this code working? What is going on with respect to the lists? Let's look at it in some depth here. Basically what we have done here is that we are indexing into the list. So when I'm calling op list square brackets op, remember op was an integer variable taking value 0, 1, 2. So really what we are looking at is item op of op list if you were to compare with Scratch. So we are saying that, hey, look, if your answer is that specific item on the op list, then it must be correct, else it is wrong. Now, one important point to understand and notice here is that unlike Scratch, the indexing here starts at 0, which is why our op goes from 0, 1, 2, and I'm able to directly address the list with that. As we just saw, op list 0 is in fact plus, and so on and so forth. Now, before I wrap this up, this solution is a lot more elegant, as you can see. I just want to highlight once again the syntax of if then else. In fact, it's very similar to what was going on in the syntax of if. If else block is exactly logically equal to the Scratch if then else, and you're already seeing that. Once again, it's if followed by logical condition. Logical condition could be equal to, it could be less than, could be whatever. But again, make sure these are apple to apple comparison. In this case, a string to string. Two equal to's because we are comparing two. Not because we're comparing two strings, but because we're looking for equality. Notice the colon there because that's part of the syntax. Think of it like the then. Again, the two indentations. Now this is important. If part is indented, else part is also indented. There's also a colon after else. Once again, notice that there are no brackets except the ones that are used for indexing or let's say for prints, but those are still, they don't interfere with the way of reading the language. Also, just like the if statement, the indentation determines when these blocks end. So the moment indentation ends, the if ends, the else ends, and so on. We'll see this once again as we go forward. But I hope this gives you an idea of a clear solution to this problem of determining the right answer. Again, if you enjoy this way of learning, do look at our website because there are lots and lots of such activities for you. Take care. Thank you so much.